Hey guys, Mopower back again. Gonna show you a build that I use for my Squire on Ramparts 25++ hard mode. This map I started farming first once I hit 25. I just liked it. Throne room, I didn't play as much. I was playing on a TV, so throne room was pretty dark for me. But on a monitor, it's just fine. But anyway, I liked this map, so I started farming 25++ on this map first. But then I found throne rooms just easier overall, less setup, less things to worry about. For this one here, I'll just show you. I actually use auras on this one, and just because I haven't gone back and changed my my build since my stats have gotten higher, but yeah, I do protect this cannon just because it's a little easier not to have to worry about the extra flyers, and you know, if you get like a mini boss coming through this way and you're getting a lot of other mobs coming, this right here can get pretty congested, and since I don't build a whole lot of stuff on this side normally, it can make it a little harder. But really all you're doing is dropping 2 auras and a boost on each path just to thin out the mobs. Now this is the only set of auras that you actually upgrade twice, just so it covers the entire path. All the rest of them you only upgrade once. But actually I forgot about something. I actually placed these over here in the wrong spot. It's been a while since I've built this. Now this here, I used to try to build with just one in the middle, but I found that you really want to have some towers that can reach out to about here, and if you're building one boost that's right here, your tower is going to be sitting right here, which is going to make it, you know, you're going to have to spend more mana. So for 40 extra mana, I've moved them off to the side so that you can get the tower out over here and you get away with one cannon. So but this here I actually have to move. I found that if you don't put a aura like right about here, that the javelin throwers or the dark mages will just stop for some reason and start chucking at the subcore, which is odd because it's not in their lane. They shouldn't be able to attack that, but they do. It's not all the time, but it happens off and on. I like to have the aura right here just because when the mobs come around this corner and they stop, they're sitting in an aura. But really with the cannons, you don't have to worry about that as much. You just have to make sure you spend the extra mana to give them the range. And again, like most of my builds, the range is key. I don't use up all the DU. This actually is a higher DU build than most of my builds just because it's an old build that I really don't use much anymore. Well, for one, I normally farm throne room now, but I do this one occasionally, and this build will work on 5-man. I've been using this build for a long time, and or not 5-man, 4-man, and haven't had any issues with it. If your stats are lower, you might go with like 4 and 3, maybe 2 on each side. You do have the DU to spend a little bit more DU, but this build uses more DU than most of my builds. Normally I'm only using like a third of the DU, if that. This here you want to upgrade so that it's reaching over to the corner. You start getting some flyers coming in, they'll fly like right here, and so you want to make sure you're at least over this piece right here. One's normally enough for at least the first wave. If your stats are lower and you don't have the additional range on your medallion, you might have to get it up to level 2. But for level 1 or wave 1, you shouldn't have to worry about that. So this is the build. After you get the you know, stuff upgraded, you just want to try to keep the range up. So I'm just going to show you how this goes. These guys here, I try to get them up to level 2, just so that they're shooting a little bit farther. They hit a little harder. Level 1's normally alright for the start, especially on this side, because the aura is right here. So you can leave this one at level 1 unless you see a mini boss coming, and you can upgrade it. But this side I would suggest getting to level 2. So let's just personal preference. What I do is I try to get these all to at least level 1 and upgrade these auras up here first. That's just going to allow you to get you know, the wider range, and it's going to cover the lane a little better. So, and like I mentioned in my other Squire video for Throne Room, auras and cannons work good because the stuff that makes it through either is on low health or it's a bigger mob, so you're not getting, you know, gobs of mobs coming at your cannons, so they'll pick out what's left. I could build this, and I have tried it with just ballista, but it's a little bit more, yeah, you gotta watch out for those guys running past. Again, once you have some range on here, you won't have those issues, but with the ballista, it's a little bit more tricky on your placements, and overall I found it's just a little easier. This is a little more forgiving with lower stats. See, that was a mob that stopped right over here and hit that. I'm not sure why they're allowed to do that, but anywho, yeah, this build's a lot more forgiving. I went straight into doing this when I hit 25 and started farming plus, so I didn't have that great of stats. So, but overall, I think Throne Room's an easier map to do. That's up to you. I do have a mini boss coming, so if you do have a mini boss, it doesn't hurt to throw a little bit extra into there. Just add some more damage. But all the auras, level 1 is normally fine. I do that just for the additional range, and it does have a decent increase as far as the damage. But these I get to level 2. So at the very end, this might be kind of low, so watch it. But yeah, pretty much I normally just try to just keep the map rolling as quickly as possible. This one I'm not able to upgrade as quickly as, say, my Throne Room build. There's, you know, more locations, and especially for the second wave, you've got to make sure you get upgrades in the right spots. So now I have tried this. I'm not sure if I mentioned that before, with letting the cannon fall, but you don't need the XP at 25, obviously. But I find it's just, you know, for, what is that, 80 mana there, you got 40 mana there, and you know, some of that. This just, it's easier overall, I think, especially with lower stats. You don't have to worry about it as much, and that way you can get away with just like 2 cannons here. It's up to your personal preference, but being that that I am using cannons, I like to thin the mobs out as much as possible, which is nice. If I was to, I could drop, say, 2 auras right here, and then this wave and that wave would be coming through, and it's all right. But I prefer this build. But that's the nice thing about this game, is you don't have to build it the same way every time. Build it however you want. So I'll let these guys die real quick before I upgrade this one. That is the one downside to only having 1 tower in a lane. You know, when you do upgrade them and they do get shut down for the upgrade, you know, you got to cover that, be anticipating that. So, but overall, this build's, you know, pretty solid. But if you do have less stats, I would suggest adding a couple more. If you have to, do 2 cannons on the side, but you shouldn't really have to if you're using auras. The only thing is, you know, possibly more cannons for the ogre. That could be a possibility. But I started using this build at like 700 stats, and it's been working just fine for me. So once you get to level 3, you pretty much just start dumping everything into these front cannons here, just to give them, you know, additional range and damage. When they're said and done, they start shooting like right here, which is nice, especially for the ogre. I don't have to deal with the ogre as far as actually fighting it, even in 4-man. I just stand back and let the cannons do their work. So it is nice as far as that goes. 9 times out of 10, though, the random people that I'll play with, want to fight the ogre, or they'll taunt the ogre and lead him down the wrong side. Instead of letting him come on his own and come down the left side there, they'll be attacking him, and then he'll come down this side, so that makes it a little bit more hairy. You've only got 2 towers here, but it's really not that bad. If you're worried about it, especially for the very first wave, you can throw 3 towers down over here. If your stats aren't that great, you might get a couple mobs that sneak by on the very edge here before these auras are big enough. And being that your cannons, you know, a little slower firing, they only hit 1 mob, you might get a couple that try to sneak by right here and hit that. Normally it's you know, some smaller mobs that can squeeze by the auras, but normally doesn't have too much an issue. You might just have to kill, you know, 1 or 2 mobs that get by, but I really only noticed that when my speed stats were really low before I swapped my gear over to stacking a lot of speed. So because when I was first leveling up, first getting into the game, I pretty much stacked a whole bunch of power, thinking, oh yeah, I need the power. But then I realized the higher levels, by experimenting, because the fact that you can respec your points, I found out that the tower speed with tower power, kind of 50-50, tended to give you the best DPS overall. And since these things tend to hit hard anyway, you really don't need the additional power. It's more about speed, getting more shots out there. Now I do have a mini boss coming this side, and that is probably the worst case scenario, is getting a mini boss on this lane, or this lane over here, just because it's you know, a pretty low end as far as a defended wave or lane, so you got to watch out for that. Yeah, shoot, I'll just taunt this guy. Normally the tower is a little bit more to the left. I wasn't paying attention because I was talking. I normally put it over here a little bit farther so that you don't have that issue. So if they do walk up here, they might hit it, but you'll still be getting attacked. But I was in a hurry, so try to set that off to the left as much as possible so that they walk up and attack that instead. So that's something to keep in mind. And I can't seem to see what that is. Oh, it does have the aura mod, but it has no power or speed on it, so you really don't need speed for the monks unless you're using a lot of electrical auras, which really you get enough speed. I find the electrical auras are mainly just to kill the lower end mobs, and I tried speccing into speed and trying it out, and it does kill them a little bit faster, but I'd rather them hit a little harder, and it's easier just to stack pure power so that your boosts do the most damage. Since, you know, the big heavy hitting stuff is going to be your towers, not your auras. So auras just thin stuff out, so it's just something to keep in mind. So I'm just going to try to get this stuff fully upgraded. I've been kind of slacking on upgrades, so these guys are pretty heavily armored, so they make it through. But you know, if your stats are lower, what I would suggest doing is putting like 2 or 3 geyser traps in each lane, and that's really going to help a lot as far as thinning the mobs out. It's not, you know, needed most of the time once you get decent stats, but it is something to watch out for and use if your stats are lacking, if you're having problems. And this up here, yeah, like I said, this thing tends to get wore out a little bit. Screw it, I'm gonna throw an extra one in there just because I have the mana and I don't care. So yeah, this is pretty much the build. It's an old build. I've been using this build for quite a while. Shown it to quite a few people that have had trouble with this map. Really haven't had too many issues. I have done this with the Apprentice. It's just a little harder. You have more lanes to cover. It's just not, I don't know, not as good overall, I find, as the Squire for this particular map. It can be done, but I just prefer the Squire. So, but if you want to change the pace from doing Throne Room, you can do this. And if I get enough requests, I'll do some more maps, 25++. It really, comes down to what people are wanting. But I find there's a lot of people that are looking for builds. They leveled up and just kind of did whatever. Then they find at 25++, there actually has to be some strategy involved. So, yeah. So there's a lot of people looking for them. So I'm going to start putting out some of those videos. Depending on what happens the next week or so, I might also be putting out some videos for different brackets starting at like level 10, which maps I like to farm. If you're just trying to get XP and get through the map as quickly as possible, I'll probably make some videos for that, show you how to build it with the Squire, how to build it with the Apprentice. But yeah, that's just something I'm spitballing right now. I'm not sure if that's really needed. Maybe I'll just wait till maybe like level 15. I don't know. We'll see. I find a lot of people complain about the game getting difficult at level 10, but I don't know. But as you can see, the Squire or the Ogre didn't get very far. Got to the bottom of the stairs. At 4-man, he tends to get to right about here. So, because he's got a lot more health. So, but that's it, guys. That's the build. It's pretty simple. Yeah. Like I said, I've been doing this build for quite a while. I found something that works, and I just kept using it. Since my stats are a lot higher, I could change this build up quite a bit, but it works, and I don't have to worry about it. And I don't do this map that often anymore, just because Throne Room just is a little easier, and a lot more people tend to do Throne Room, so that tends to be the map, especially when I'm playing with randoms, since it's hard to get four friends on at the same time that want to do the same thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That was the one I picked up so I can see that staff. Anywho, hope you guys enjoyed the videos. Let me know in the comments or a personal message. Let me know what you guys are looking for as far as videos you'd like to see. So alright, till next time.